Chelsea have done it. Chelsea have done the treble domestically. They have just beaten Manchester United 3-0 in the FA Cup final at Wembley. It's happened. They've absolutely dominated England. They've gone unbeaten in the league. They have won the League Cup against Man City, and now they have beaten Manchester United. If you want to keep up to date with all women's football, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to go all things latest news women's football right now. So 3-0 Baltimore with the brace. Macario comes on and scores. Bit of a mess, really, I think the game was.
Okay.
I don't think Chelsea was as dominant as it looked. I think first half was really close. The Man United plan was to really rough up the Chelsea players.
Didn't work.
And no, it really didn't. Let's start with the first half. What did you think about the first half?
If I'm 100% honest, it was a bit dry, wasn't it? Like, it was just very catty, and I don't think anybody was dominant, personally. I know people are going to come at me with stats and stuff, but to watch it from home, because we couldn't get tickets, was just a bit, I don't know, I was almost bored. But then obviously Celine Bizzett made the wrong decision of putting her leg as high as she did, and it led to a penalty, which I think once that first goal had gone in, Man United didn't really stand a chance. I think Chelsea then kind of got that fire in them and were ready to go. So I don't know. It wasn't what I'd expect for a final. But then at the same time, I don't know, like United fans might not agree with me here, but I felt like before the match, with kind of like all the walks around the pitch and the interviews and stuff, the players really made it sound like they'd be able to kind of retain the trophy, like keep the trophy, and it just didn't happen. Sorry, United fans.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I feel like with finals, they are technically the two best teams in the competition. So you you would do expect it to kind of be a little bit cagey, and it wasn't. And it's funny that you say, it was quite boring, and then the first thing you speak about is the Gabby George mistake, the Bizet mistake.
Gabby George comes later
That
on.
that turns out to be like what, the 42nd minute or something ridiculous like
It
that.
took a
So
while, didn't it?
you've completely, not spoken about 40 minutes of football and gone straight to that. So that shows you the kind of game that it was. The game plan was simple, I thought, in terms of Man United, which was just rough them up, just like really be physical against this Chelsea team because they are quite a physical team as well. Obviously, with Ramirez up top, they are a physical team. They do like to push players around. They do like to be dominant in the air. So the game plan was to just be physical and match that demand. And I thought they did really well in the first 20 minutes to kind of, beat them up. I thought Gabby George done really well in stopping that side where she was getting really rough and really physical with Lucy Bronze. And then she was following Aggie Beaver Jones, where I think she was meant to man mark Aggie Beaver Jones, but then a lot of the time was defending Lucy Bronze. And then it took 25, 30 minutes for Aggie Beaver Jones to realise she was being man marked, went on the
Yeah.
other side of the pitch, and then Gabby George followed her across, and then it just left that side all Bronze, and that part didn't really make sense to me. I thought that game plan was good in terms of like sticking to that side, but then she needed to pass Aggie Beaver Jones on, and I feel like that's where Chelsea just showed the ability and showed the technique. And in the second half, you really saw it. Like Man United matched the physicality again, but then as soon as Man United won the ball, they just couldn't play passes. Every pass was going behind the player. It was going to their front foot instead of their back foot, and all of these are really really simple things. And like I coach my under-16s team to pass to the back foot and not the front foot, and seeing professional players in an FA Cup final not play a ball and do things that I would tell my under-16s teams not to do was just really really disappointing. And it was like Gabby George wins the ball, they play it into centre mid, and they have to play it out wide, and instead of playing it onto the player's run, they just play it right behind them, and it just killed their attack every single time. And I'm just watching it getting so frustrated because the game plan worked. Like United had the game there to win it. They just needed to get the ball and go on the break and play the ball forward. And they just couldn't do it. And really, really simple passes were going out wide. And I think now we should probably go and talk about the kind of the setups because there were some big things going into the game. Like Chelsea's defense, they went three at the back.
I mean, before you get onto that, there is a point I do want to make. One person that kind of grated on me a little bit today was Ramirez. I felt she was very greedy. Like at one point, she kind of just went for goal. And I think if she'd have passed it to Lucy a little bit earlier and not been so greedy, it'd have gone straight in.
But I think
And
that
I think
makes
bringing
it, that goes into the point I was just going to make of the setup.
You might steal my point. But I think the difference was when Ramirez came off and was replaced by Cat Macario, because she then later went on to score. And I think she maybe should have started over Ramirez personally.
Well, this is what I wanted to speak about with the structure. So the three at the back is Germa, Bright, and who's the other one? Who's in the back? Bjorn.
Bjorn.
It took me ages to think about it. They were the back three, and then you had obviously Lucy Bronze and Niamh Charles, and going the three at the back, the dominant three at the back, by the way, which is probably the best three in world football. To see that back three and have Lucy Bronze playing in like a back five, which we talk about so often in the Lionesses. We need Niamh Charles and Lucy Bronze to play as wing backs. Serena was there, so hopefully she had the little notepad with her.
Serena, take note, please. We need to see that in the Euros.
But it worked. It just worked because it allowed Lucy Bronze to just do what she does best and go and attack. And same with Niamh Charles, she got up so high up the pitch. And like you said with the Ramirez thing, there's no reason why Lucy Bronze shouldn't be in the box. So the fact that this system allows Lucy Bronze to go all the way up and get in the box, all Ramirez needs to do is square it and Lucy Bronze takes them 1-0 up. But that structure just allowed that to happen. And I think as good as that system was, United's system of playing the 4-2-3-1 also made it a really good tactical battle where that 4-2-3-1 works really well against the 3-4-3, and it just needed Ella Toon on the pitch. And that's the big thing for me that didn't make sense. Ella Toon is an attacking midfielder. She is a number 10 by trade. Her job is to get the ball and create things. You play a 4-2-3-1 and you put Grace Clinton in the 10.
I personally think if Ella Toon had have started, it would have been a completely different game. I genuinely think that she needed to have been in that starting 11, because Mark Skinner bringing her on as a sub at half time, I just don't feel had the same impact it would have as if she'd maybe had that full first half as well. And you could see how disappointed she was. Like any team would be disappointed to not win the cup that you'd won previously, but you could see in her face how disappointed she was. And during that first half, the camera kept panning round to her on the bench, and she just looked so unhappy, and it wasn't very pleasant to see. And I obviously, I'm no football coach. I've never coached football in my life, but I think Mark Skinner possibly made the wrong decision there. And you were saying it as well from like a coaching point of view that you'd have probably started her as well. I just think I'd quite like to have sit down and have a chat with Mark Skinner and be like, why did you make these decisions? Anybody who has a contact with United, feel free to set that up, because we'd love to have him on the podcast.
The thing is, with that 4-2-3-1, like for me, when I looked at it and I saw the 4-2-3-1, I would have played Ella Toon, because Ella Toon is in that three, she is the middle one. You do want her to play that attacking role. And I get why he's put Grace Clinton in there, because she can do the same thing. However, for me, Grace Clinton is a centre mid. She's an 8. She should be in the 2. She shouldn't be in the 3. So what I would have done was I would have put Ella Toon in that cam, and I would have played Ella Toon as I would have played Grace Clinton as the 8, which just made sense. But then when you actually like look at it, you can see why Mark Skinner didn't start Ella Toon. He didn't start her because he thought the first half was going to be really cagey, and it was. And I think he then thought that Chelsea were going to really go for it in the second half. So then he thought, we're going to counter-attack and we're going to have Ella Toon on the ball, and she's going to get us playing through, or she's going to be able to take shots from outside the box. And when you look at it that way, it does make sense. It does make sense why he didn't start her. But for me, when you see in the first 20 minutes of like, they're just, United are smashing them and they're playing it through, and Grace Clinton's running and she's just on her own, you think she could have made that run from deeper and Ella Toon could have been in front of her. And then, like, I also feel that when Toon plays, or when Clinton plays in the 10, Turland just doesn't get on the ball. Like, Turland in the past, like, 3 games for United, I feel like it's just hardly touched the ball.
Yeah.
Has hardly been able to do anything.
I don't think Turland showed her full potential today, and it was quite disappointing to see. Like, she just, it was a bit flat, wasn't it? And I just don't feel like she played to her strengths. Because she just, I don't even know how to put it into words.
She just doesn't get what's the word? She doesn't get the like.
Fluidity would be the word I was thinking
She
of.
doesn't get the service. She doesn't get it because she doesn't have Toon in there, and Clinton does so much running. And I for me
I've got herself
personally,
booked.
I would have either taken Jansen out or taken Miyazawa out. And obviously, like Miyazawa's, Japanese. I love her, but I would have taken one of them off, put Grace Clinton in there, and then played Ella Toon in there. It's Wembley. Toon is Wembley. She always scores at Wembley. Like you just needed to play her in
Not
there,
today.
and I don't know. And when she came on as well, she was probably the only player that was really making good passes. Like she was in the middle and she was playing it straight out to the wing, and they were good passes every time. And everyone else was just really struggling to play a really easy pass. They played it out for throw-ins so many times because they couldn't play to
Yeah.
feet. It was really bad to see because the game plan was there. The game plan was there for them to win the game. It was a really good game plan. It was foolproof. The only problem was the technical ability of Man United let them down, and you can see it. Like that game really highlighted for me the difference in Chelsea to everyone else, and like I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing to highlight of that their ability and their technique was just world class in comparison to United. Like you win the ball as Naomi Girma, you play it to Kira Walsh, and Kira Walsh plays it out to Lucy Bronze, and you just look at it and you're like, yeah, fair enough. Like you're just watching it thinking, yeah, they're just technically better.
I mean, Ellen White mentioned it in the commentary afterwards, and she said the depth of the squad is what makes Chelsea stand out. And I think it was quite funny that that comment was made, and Serena Williams' husband, I can't remember his name, has just invested 20 million into Chelsea women. So they've got that further investment. And I think as much as I know I said on last week's podcast, City will be on Chelsea's tail and competing with them next season. Like, I think Chelsea are miles above everyone else, and the other teams in the WSL, those kind of top four, need to probably invest more in the summer to be able to compete against Chelsea. But if you look at the stats from today, in terms of possession, it was 62-38 in Chelsea's favour. Chelsea had 12 shots, whereas United had 5. Shots on target, they had 7, whereas United only had 2. So when you think about it, when you look at it like that on paper, it does reflect
No,
kind of
because
what
that was
we've
the game
seen.
plan. That was the game plan. In that, look at the FA Cup final for the men. Man City had all of the ball. They had all the chances. It took one counter attack for Palace to score, and that was the game plan for United. It was to be really physical, be really good defensively, and then rely on their players' technique to go and get them forward. And it just didn't. It just fell short of that technique. And
Yeah.
I know you said about the kind of squad depth, but for me, it didn't matter who was on the pitch or how many players they've got. It's the technique of the players that they've got that just elevated Chelsea. Like Baltimore getting a brace and being the one that like wins the ball in the box, spins someone, smashes it in the top corner, and like just getting in the box all the time, taking shots, and Lucy Bronze just taking the ball out wide and crossing it in and being really dangerous. And corners, you've got Millie Bright who's really dominant in the air. It just the technique and the ability that Chelsea have was just miles ahead of United. And don't get me wrong, United have got some really good players, but just really basic technique just let them down, and it was really weird to see. But I think that's gonna happen in terms of the teams that put their fund in and really work on their coaching and work on their academies. You'll see the technique of their players be top class, and United are just not there at the minute.
Well, I've got
It's a
2
shame.
snippets of information that relate to players from today. So the first one is that Millie Bright is the only player to have played in all 8 of Chelsea's title-winning seasons. Right, obviously
She
WSL
was
titles,
outstanding today.
but Millie Bright, obviously, she is Chelsea. And also, great. Gabby George and Millie Turner played together in the 2014 Women's FA Cup final as 17-year-olds at Everton, and now 11 years later they were lined up together side by side in Manchester United's back four at Wembley for yet another final. Just a shame they didn't win it this time. But should we talk about something positive that does relate to the FA Cup?
My first positive note, we need to talk about Fallon.
Would you like to talk about Fallon
She
first?
was really good. Like she was just on point. She was the reason that it wasn't 7-0. Like there was times where United really fell apart defensively.
She saved them,
And
didn't she?
I mean, yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah.
She really did. Like she made some world class saves, and she put herself in some really good positions that just stopped Chelsea just being so dominant at times. And I do think that she has really proven it this season. I think in the interview she was saying that she was on the bench last year for the final, and to then go on and get joint clean sheets with Hannah Hampton, I think it was 13.
Yeah, 13 each.
Something like that. Like, yeah, it goes to show just her ability. And I think if they can keep hold of her and they can start putting some players around the team that are just technically better, I think United will just constantly progress. But yeah, sorry. More positive news.
It's fine. More positive news. The Women's FA Cup will now be, from next season, aired on Channel 4 and TNT. And they've basically said that they will show more games than that have been shown on the BBC this year. And the final TNT have said they'll make sure that it's free for people to view.
Good.
So you won't be, like, obviously if you don't have TNT, you'll have to rely on watching it on Channel 4. But they've said that for the final, it will be completely free for people to watch, which I think is good. Because
really good.
Having a bigger platform other than the BBC, but having another platform other than the BBC, I think will help get more of the women's game out there. And I know like TNT do a lot of coverage for like Champions League games. Yeah. So it'd be nice to see the FA Cup on there as well, and hopefully more coverage. But
I think another positive is the attendance today.
Yeah.
At Wembley, it was sold out as well, and I don't know the exact stats. I think I saw like 76,000 somewhere. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because I remember last season, I think the whole top part wasn't even sold.
No.
So to have it sold out, to have that many people there, I think was really, really good, and shows, the fact that Chelsea are there is big, but like Man United as well. Again, I think to be able to sell it out without and obviously not to be biased, but without Arsenal there, who have the biggest fan base, it's really good to see.
And I think as well, like all these people that are constantly forever saying women's football is not important, this shows that people do love women's football. Yeah. And that's something I've obviously, as a female, I'm very passionate about, but it just shows that Barry from Barnsley or wherever is wrong. People do care about women's football.
Barry, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, women's football is growing, and I think that days like today are fundamental in showing that even major tournaments that aren't necessarily involving national teams but are involving kind of women's, not like normal clubs, so to speak, have that platform, and people do care. And they weren't free tickets either. So for anybody that says, oh, it was filled out because there were free tickets, as far as people know, there were no free tickets given out, because we'd have loved to have gone today but couldn't get tickets. So, we
just need to make sure we do the same for the leagues now.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice. I'll make another point about that in a bit, because it's at the bottom of my list to end on, but keep that in your head. WSL change. How do we feel about the new badge?
I like it. I'm a fan. WSL 2, I prefer it. I just don't like the name, the Championship.
Yeah, WSL and WSL 2, I feel like we've travelled... No.
It's better.
I feel like we've just travelled back in time, and I personally preferred it so much more when it was the Championship. I feel like the WSL had progressed so far, and it was clear that kind of the WSL and the Championship, both leagues had their own kind of title. Whereas I feel like WSL and WSL 2 just makes it sound like one league's a lot better in terms of everything than the other.
It is.
No, but I don't just mean in terms of kind of playing and stuff like that. I mean, like, it just makes it sound like, well, whatever.
Because it is.
No, it's not.
But it is,
You can't say that. Like,
okay, so why call it the Championship when the Championship sounds better than the WSL? It's the wording.
It sound like a better standard.
The thing for me is the wording. You can't call something the Championship that isn't the best. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but would you argue the same in the men's game?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I would call.
I mean, the Championship
that league,
is better than.
I would call that league. That should be like League 2. Does it make sense?
No, you're going backwards. You won't be able to do it.
But that's what I mean. It makes sense. So to have WSL, I think the only thing why people don't like the word of WSL 2 is because Premier League 2 is like your under 21s and your under 18s teams.
Stupid.
But just get over it. WSL 1, WSL 2.
Nope.
Easy.
Nope.
Have it like that.
Nope. And I can guarantee.
You should just call it Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 like
if we end up clipping this, there will be a lot of people that will probably agree with me.
No, but that's because
of
change.
Great.
That's because of change. I get that. But for me, I just think it makes sense because I don't like the word Championship. Championship means the best.
I do. I think because my men's team have been in the Championship for so long, like, I feel a bit.
Should go back to Premier League, League One, League Two, League Three.
Nope, absolutely not. And the badge, I'm sorry, the badge looks like something that
Yeah, I
my
don't like
6
that.
and 7-year-olds could create a craft club. Do you know what I mean? Like, or do you remember at school? I don't know if it's still around now because I know I don't teach using it. But when we had access to pin on the laptops, and you used to just mess about making like curved lines, I feel like it looks like that. I saw somebody had put on Twitter, sorry X, that it looked like something for a surfing league rather than a football league. It's not great. It's not great. And I think there's a lot of people that also don't like it. And I know you said it's changed, but no.
I think as well with like
Sorry, WSL.
with the art and
No.
the kind of the rollouts of like the ads and stuff like that, you have to remember that women's football is like it's a younger demographic anyway. So it is gonna look, for lack of a better term, it is gonna look more immature, but that's because of the kind of demographic that it has. There is a lot of young people that watch women's football more than men's football. So when they're trying to do like a new thing for men's football, it'll be pitched at more like of a mature level where
Like
for
my
women's
granddad.
it will be a little bit different and it will look a little bit kiddish, but I think it just works.
Yeah, but like for people like us that are kind of going up in the world in terms of kind of our opportunities and content creation within the women's game, it just puts me off a little bit. And WSL, I'm not saying we never want to work with you. Like, I'd be so happy to work with you, but it's just the badge. I can't get round it.
But also, we're gonna watch the game anyway,
Well, yeah,
so it's not for us.
but how do you go from this beautiful badge to a few like?
But it's not for us. These ads are not for us. These ads are to get other people involved. We're already going to watch it.
That's when you know we're getting old.
They could put a picture of someone's face on it. We're still going to watch it.
Lucy Bronze.
But we're still going to watch it. It doesn't matter. The ads are not for us.
No, I guess so.
They're for new people.
I feel like it is kind of, and I'd seen a couple of other people say this as well. It is very Americanized, I feel. And it's getting more and more like the NWSL. And I think we'll see that more as the kind of, if they decide to do the closed league style thing. But it's happening whether we like it or not. The font is hideous. I'm really glad that I got the old, like, last season's font. Like, the last game of the season, I got my Rebecca Knack shirt because I personally don't think I will be purchasing a shirt with the new WSL font on the back of it next season. But it's not done to suit me, is it? Another negative that does come from the Championship / WSL 2, which I feel we need to talk about, is the whole situation with Blackburn Rovers women. Again, it's a case of the women's team kind of being on the back foot. One of the players released a statement, Neve Murphy released a statement earlier in the week basically saying that there's 99% chance that they will not exist by the end of next week. And they will have to drop out of the WSL 2. I feel like it's very much kind of a Thornaby FC situation where the women's team has just been completely disregarded, and they found out on WhatsApp, which I think is horrendous. They found out on social media that by the end of next week they might not have a job. And I'm pretty certain it was her that had said as well that she's not long done her ACL, and now she doesn't even know if she's going to have a club to be able to rehabilitate at, which I think is just vile. And it would never happen in the men's game. You wouldn't see that in the men's game. Blackburn Rovers men's, didn't you say they've got like, what grade is there?
They're category 1.
So they're category. You wouldn't do it to the men's team, so why is it acceptable to do it to the women's team?
I think a lot of staff members are left as well because I was looking at there's a website called Jobs in Football, and obviously that's what I'm looking at the minute. And when I looked at it, there was loads of jobs for Blackburn women, so I'm assuming that loads of staff members have left as well. But there was like goalkeeper coach, physio. I think there's a nutrition one as well. Like there must be loads of staff members that have left. Because there's loads of jobs up at the minute, and there's a lot for the men's team as well. So I don't know what's going on at Blackburn at the minute, but they had a big thing recently about how well their academy was doing and how they're putting more funding in and stuff like that. So
I mean,
no
I've
idea.
just got the statement up just so I can make sure it's 100% like accurate. But she'd said that for the last 3 seasons, and the only consistency they'd been at Blackburn was the lack of financial support from the club for the women's team. Whilst this season may not look successful to others, we have once again avoided relegation despite having the smallest budget. This is a huge success and a credit to the women's players and staff. She then talks about how the group had worked relentlessly hard all season for so little reward. They earn less than a livable wage, so many players have to live away from home whilst also having to work other jobs just to be able to survive. And then they find out through a WhatsApp that they might not have a job at the end of the season. It's ridiculous, and I think it needs to change. And it says here that players and staff deserve far better than what we're experiencing in the recent seasons. We've once again been left in the dark, waiting to see if the owners will have the decency to do what is best for their players, staff, and women's football. So that does make it sound like it does relate to the women's staff members as well. So that could be why you've seen that there's loads of jobs up. And I think Blackburn do better.
Well,
Do better. You can't be doing this stuff, especially with how big the women's game is. Excuse me, with how big the women's game is, but also the fact they're a championship team. Sorry, WSL2 team. You can't, in the second flight, you can't be doing this.
but then also it's like the eyes are just not there for the championship. The eyes are not there. So the only problem I've got with this whole thing is just the way that the players have been treated and the way that the club's been treated. I've got no problem with the players saying that they're not earning a livable wage because in that league there's no eyes on it, just like there is in men's non-league. There's no eyes on it, so it's not, you can't be professional because there's not enough funding going into the club. So it is a shame because yes, you're in the championship, yes, you're in the the tier 2 of football and it's not professional, but that is just the way it is. There isn't enough eyes on it. There isn't enough funding in women's football at this moment in time. So you are going to have to work 2 jobs, or you're going to have to do something on the side to be able to do football, because you can't just play football and have that as your wage. That's just not how it works. Like, it will get to that point. I do see it happening, and it probably won't be for another 5-10 years, but that just needs to grow from other things. It needs, like, more players from WSL1 to drop down, or a really big team to go down, like a West Ham or something like that, to drop down and just get more eyes on it. But it will come. But like I said, yeah, the only problem I've got there is just that these players are coming out and saying you know, we're not on a livable wage, and I just don't think that's the best way to go about it. Because yes, it is bad. It is bad. You're a women's football player in tier 2, but the game's not there yet. And as horrible as that sounds, it's not there yet. So you're just not going to be able to do that stuff.
But then arguing on the other side of that is you look at, right, so Bristol are in the same league. Bristol, their players are full-time football and earn enough money to not have to work a second job. The same with London City Lionesses, the same with Birmingham. Their players earn enough money to not have to have a second job. So the fact that Blackburn think this is acceptable when they are in the same league as those teams that are putting money in and are supporting their women so that they don't have to do 2 jobs and that they're on a livable wage, it just doesn't make sense.
So
It just doesn't.
in terms of their men's academy, their men's academy is category 1, so that means they have to have a certain amount of staff members. They have to have, like, certain amount of, like, facilities to be able to be. It's like Ofsted. They have every season they get
Yeah.
reviewed and stuff like that. So they have to have certain things to be in place. Don't think women's academies are there at the minute in terms of that. So all of their funding will go towards the men's to keep up this category 1 status, which means they can bring in more players and stuff like that. So I do think that has a contributing factor to it. In terms of the other teams, London City Lionesses have got one of the biggest investors in women's football. She is going to pump loads of money into it. She is going to make it a really nice place to be and attract more players so they can go up to WSL1, which is what they've done. Birmingham are the same. They've got really good investments at the minute, and they're doing really good things. Men and women's have both been promoted this season. They both nearly got promoted this season. Obviously, the men have gone up. Women were really close. So it's like, it does make sense. I'm not 100% clued up on Blackburn. I don't know if they were previously in the WSL. For me, I don't think it's. Were they?
I believe.
If they were, how long ago was it?
Have a look.
But for me, I just don't think they're in the position to kind of argue as much as they're arguing. I could be completely wrong on it.
I think we're going to agree to
sad
disagree
that
on
they're
that one.
I am sad that they're dropping out, but I also think it's not the kind of arguments that they're making. I think it's more of that they've not communicated and they've not properly told the players anything. But in terms of like not being paid as much and stuff like that, like I don't think that's that much of a problem.
Well,
In my
I mean, I
opinion,
think we'll agree to disagree on that one, and I don't
I'd
think
love them
everyone
to.
will
I would love them to, but
agree with that. But
it's just the harsh realities of, and I'm like, I know the harsh realities of it. I'm literally a coach right now in a team that should be an academy, which isn't because of the funding things. And I'm,
2010.
well, there you go.
They were in the top flight.
There you go. And the women's football was not in the position that it was in, that it's in now. So yeah, they've in that regard they got no leg to stand on. But it's just they need to just run clubs better.
And hopefully those changes come. But talking about how a club is run better, let's talk about the World Sevens, because the World Sevens start on Wednesday. It is a tournament containing 7 teams, and Manchester City are one of them. And our squad has been announced.
And United.
And United, but I've not seen United's squad yet. So
I don't think they've been announced.
No, they haven't. I think they were getting today out of the way first before
Yeah,
it was
I was gonna
announced.
say.
So for us, we have got, and I'm really excited actually because it's a lot of teams players, who have kind of proven themselves this season. So you've got Laura Coombs, love Laura. Eva Netz as keeper, Laura Wienrouther, who should be on that one, but I forgot to take a picture with her. Carolyn, Jess Park. Poppy Pritchard has come back from her loan spell and she will also be joining us. Laura Blanco-Brown, which I think will be good considering she's only just back. Alba Fagino, same again. Gracie Pryor, who was also somewhere on the wall. She's very much proven herself this season and I think she well deserves to be in that travelling squad. Oyama, who we've not actually seen much of. So it'd be nice to see what she can do in a smaller tournament. Kiara Keaton, Cody Thomas, who is a legend, Lily Murphy, who is also a legend, and Maisie Davies, which would be nice because we've not seen her play yet. So be interested to see how it goes. And I have got a training day on Wednesday, so I will actually be able to watch it, which would be nice while I'm typing up my reports. So yeah, be interesting to see what happens. You will miss it also because 1, you're at work, and 2, you'll be on your stag do. But Jill Scott, or Shelley, if you see this at any point, please can you show the final on Friday night while doing the box to box quiz, because it would be quite nice to watch it and I really don't want to have to be on my phone while I'm there with you. So if you'd like to show it, it'd be great. Thank you.
I'd love to watch it because I love 7-a-side football so much.
Yeah, this schedule is ridiculous. Like, I'm going to be rushing myself home on Thursday from work just to be able to watch it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be fun. Highlight some of those players that haven't necessarily got much game time yet this season. It'll be great. If we're talking about different teams, this is an awful segue. Shall we talk about some new awful football kits? Arsenal?
No, Arsenal's is beautiful. City's is awful, and so is the England one. There you go. Done.
No. We'll talk about club kits. Club kits. At the moment, in terms of the WSL, the 3 that have been announced are Chelsea's, City's, and Arsenal's. Quick fire. Chelsea's looks like a jumper from the In-Betweeners. Anybody who's not seen the In-Betweeners, check it out. You might be too old.
I don't mind the Chelsea one.
The Chelsea one's apparently got some landmarks on it. Their advertisement for it's pretty cool though, because they've got Suggs from Madness, they've got Central C, they've got Millie Bright, they've got Cole Palmer. It's quite cool. It's quite plain though.
I don't mind it.
Quite plain, and it's Chelsea, but it's what it is. Man City's looks like they're wearing a brownie sash. City's looks like they're wearing a brownie guide sash, but I do quite like it. It is nicer than last season's. Be interesting to see what the away shirt's like, but I really like the home shirt and I will be getting it just without the WSL font on the back. Do you not like it?
No, I think it's awful, but then also shorts, because you don't wear white shorts, so what shorts are you going to wear?
Blue.
Oh, no.
Be an all-in-one blue.
No, that will look awful, because the socks will be blue.
The advert for it's good as well, but I just don't like the fact that we've got all the women's players who were there filming, but you don't necessarily see them in the advert. We were out shopping, having tea when it came out, and I was like, oh, look, Alex Greenwood's wearing it. Rebecca Cannack's wearing it. Oh, look, there's Kiara Keaton. Are they in the video?
Oh.
City do better. And then Arsenal's, I don't like it. Personally, don't like it. Not because it's Arsenal, but it's awful. It looks like something that somebody has created on clip art. Again, going back to clip art with the A's.
You can't
no.
say that when you look at the City shirt. Oh my, the Arsenal shirt is so nice.
No.
So nice with the little A's in it. Even like the socks are nice. It's just.
Do you know what? I was going to be really, really cute. And for your wedding present, I was actually going to get you the new Arsenal shirt with our surname on the back and 25. But I'm not putting money into the
I'll
club
probably
when
already
that's what the
have it.
shirt looks like. It's gross.
I'm gonna get it
It's
anyway.
gross. And the England kit, if we go on to internationals, what is that? Why does it look like the training kit that
It
the
is
men
the training
had?
kit. It's the training top from the men had. It's awful. I hated that shirt.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I like the away one. It's very similar to the Matildas one, so I can deal with the
Is
away
that
one.
the purple one?
No.
I don't know.
Well, it is purpley.
I don't like it. I really don't like it.
But then when you look at like the Netherlands shirt, that's
That's
banging.
yeah, that's
I
nice.
would get the Netherlands one. I also really like the France one.
Spain always do a really.
And
nice
I'm
shirt.
half swaying. I can't believe this is about to come out my mouth, but I'm also half swaying towards the Germany shirt as well, just because I want Kanak on the back.
I do like that one.
It's really nice.
I'd rather buy the Japan kits.
And I don't think they're all kind of replicas of each other this time round, which is quite nice. Whereas I feel like club ones are.
I'm always disappointed by England shirts. The only English shirt I've ever liked is the full white one for the last Euros. That's the only one I've ever liked. All the others, even the men's ones, I just.
Nah, to be fair, I liked the orange one. I've got the orange one with bright on the back actually.
Yeah, but I just like Netherlands.
And I like the one that we had in the World Cup, but I'm just not keen on this one for the summer. May not get it, may get it, may not. But I think I'll probably sway more towards the away shirt. But I need to get bronze on it because, as she said in her interview with Samantha Miller today, she likes to be centre of the celebrations because she never knows when our last one will be. So I feel like I need to get bronze just in case. Really looking into it. But we'll be able to have pints during the Euros because the Home Office have said, are you ready for this? The Home Office have confirmed that if England or Wales are to reach the semi-finals of the Euros, pubs will stay open later.
Fair enough.
So you know when the men's tournaments happen and everybody piles into the pubs, and it's probably going to happen again with the women's. Nobody will be in the pub. We'll be sat in a rainy beer garden on our own because it's the only place in public that are showing the game. And by the end, every man and his dog will be there. Every woman and her dog will be there.
Group.
We will make it out of the group. I have faith. Have faith. Have faith.
That group is so.
We'll definitely beat Wales.
That might be the only game we win.
Wales. No offence, Fionn Morgan. But
We'll
definitely beat Wales.
It might be the only game we win.
Do you reckon?
France and Netherlands.
We can agree to disagree. We're agreeing to disagree on quite a lot today.
I just know ball.
Wow. Rude. Rude, rude, rude. Anyway, last point for today. I was going to do a Kirsty's quiz of the week, but I didn't think your brain would have the capacity to do it this week. Goodison Park. What is happening with Goodison Park?
The men are out, aren't they? Yeah.
The men had the
men
last
are
game
moving
today.
on. The men are moving on, and it's now becoming the women's stadium, which, thank the Lord, Everton have finally got an actual stadium.
Walton Hall Park has just outdone its time now. It's one stadium we've never been to because it's mainly standing for away, and I can't stand for long enough. But also, we kind of spoke about this when we were watching Everton games at home. The safety of the players, because you are literally the distance we are from each other and can, like, do you know what I mean? And I think with high-profile players like Alex Greenwood, Lucy Bronze, Millie Bright, Naomi Girma, what he said, I think it was time that they move on. I just don't understand how it's going to financially be sustainable for them, because you're not, no offence Everton, but you're not going to fill Goodison Park unless it's going to be like a King Power situation where they just open one stand and everybody piles into that. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm quite excited to go to Goodison Park.
Yeah, it's always been one I've wanted to go to.
Because our aim is to do more away games next season, whether it's with accreditation or not. So it'd be quite nice to go there, because I was definitely not going there ever for Everton men's. But yeah, be interesting to see what happens. And to finish off this week, 2 quick things to mention. Obviously, if you didn't see it last week and you don't follow us on our socials, get over there and check them out. But our discount code for Football Her is now increased. It is now Charlie Kirsty 10, because you get 10% instead of 5%, which is down to you guys. So thank you very, very much. And we may or may not have a parcel that we will have opened for our first kind of proper PR next week. So it'll be exciting to show that as well, won't it?
Yeah.
But next week will be a bit different. Charlie is on his stag do, therefore we are filming at some point. We're not sure when, but it will be our end of season awards. Donkey of the season, as he's come up with, player of the season, team of the season, goal of the season, worst player of the season.
And we'll also review like Arsenal and City and talk about the the high moments, the low moments, all that kind of stuff.
And we want your guys' opinion as well. So we may put up some polls, we may put up some videos. I might even go live at some point just to get people's ideas and thoughts on it. But keep an eye out for that. But if you don't already, head over, follow our TikTok and our Instagram. Subscribe, like, comment, let us know if there's anything that we've done incorrectly, as we have a Karen on our TikTok who's doing that anyway. So yeah, see you next week.
And hopefully Arsenal will win the Champions League.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that too. We'll see. I'll be live for it. Charlie's away.